Hello, welcome to Thank a Teacher podcast. I have Jay Wamstead with me here today. He is a middle school teacher and a father, a husband, and an awesome author of the new dystopian thriller, The Lockdown Artist. So, welcome to Thank a Teacher podcast, Jay.
Oh, Wendy, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. We
Thanks for taking time out of your busy day. I know you're back to school.
I was gonna say you can kind of see behind me as I have these empty shelves and walls because I just our first day of pre-planning was Monday and today is Wednesday, and my room is still a blank slate, but this is more fun than setting up my room, so I'm
You're
excited.
getting there. Well, thank you so much for being with us. I know that you have some educators that have impacted your life, and you would like a chance to thank them today with us.
Yeah, for sure.
And I apologize that Tania is not with us today. She has an emergency with her family that she had to take care of. So if she happens to pop in, that would be an extra special treat, but I'm going to go solo. So we'll see how well I do. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started, Jay. We've got question number one. Who is one of your favorite teachers and what subject?
Well, so I am a math teacher, so I'll have to give a first shout out to my very first favorite math teacher which was Miss Mills. I had the same math teacher in seventh and eighth grade, and this was in West Point, New York. I think the name of the school was West Point Middle School or something.
Cool.
But anyway, she taught me math, and she was the first person that she taught me algebra for the first time, and I just was all of a sudden looking around the room, and I realized, oh, I kind of like this. This is fun, and I can vividly remember sitting in her eighth grade classroom and just looking around the room and listening to her talk and doing math. And now I live in an eighth grade math classroom. So
Wow.
I can
Amazing.
definitely give a shout out to Miss Mills.
Yeah, if anybody can make you enjoy math, I mean, most kids hate math, right?
That is the unfortunate truth. Yes.
But
Even
I'm
in my
sure
room.
having a fun teacher though, that kind of helps, I would say.
I hope so. We try to
So,
make it at least not a miserable room.
right, exactly. Well, I'm sure at least, you seem like a calm teacher as well. So I hear you have some other teachers. We've got Mrs. Mills, your eighth grade math teacher, and who else?
Yeah. Well, I and also in eighth grade, I guess that was a big year for me, is I had Mr. Sherman. He was my seventh and eighth grade social studies teacher, and he was just one of those teachers. I've never really been a history or social studies kind of person, but he was one of those teachers that just made everything kind of awesome. Like whether he was talking about the Constitution or the Great Depression or the Civil War, just everything was really fun. And that was a rare skill. And I've thought about him a lot as I've tried to be a teacher. He was the very first person that encouraged me in my writing. I got to write a short story for one of his, he had a choice board project, and he let me write a short
Mm-hmm.
story for one of the choices, and he was real affirming of my writing, and that was the first time that had ever happened to me. So that was exciting.
I love it when
And
teachers give you a choice too, like that, so
yeah,
that you can use what you're good at, to
yeah,
show your knowledge of the skills.
yeah. And I've tried to take that. I mean, it's tough sometimes because sometimes it's like the students almost just would rather just be told exactly what to do. But I've tried
Mm.
really hard to be like, no, we're gonna be, here's some options, and you can choose this, or you can choose this, or you can choose this. And sometimes they're like, well, which one's the easiest?
All right.
And I'm like, well, the easiest one is the one that would make you happiest to do. So let's try that.
Aw. Well, that's very cool. My father was a history teacher also, but for students with special ed. So
Oh
every
wow.
time we went on a vacation, he was buying costumes for, every kind of museum we were in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, are you going to wear that to school? He's like, yes, I am.
What age level was it?
Middle school.
Yeah, middle school teachers love costumes.
Yeah.
I taught high school for a long time, and when I came down here to the middle school, everybody's dressing up every third week and every Friday. I can't get into it, but I could picture a middle school social studies teacher dressing up. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. He was always like, buying the shields and the fake swords and just different fun things to show, that artifacts.
yeah, that's
So,
amazing.
but yeah, it was interesting having a father as a history teacher because, he liked to talk about it too, and I wasn't interested in it at all.
Is that what y'all's dinner table is like? Just history conversations?
Yeah, my mother was a teacher and then administrator, and my father was a teacher, so they just talked. And my brother and I just sat there and we were quiet.
So
We just listen to their day.
I have a couple high schoolers at home in my house and a middle schooler and an elementary schooler. So I have
Oh, wow.
all the
All
levels
of
right
it.
now. And I'm not really allowed to talk about math at the dinner table, but we do talk about school a lot. So we get all the perspectives from all the bad things and the good things and the annoying
Sure.
things, and we talk about a lot of things. But every
I'm
time
sure.
when I try to talk about math, they shut me down. They're like, "No, Dad."
Well, what would you talk about related to math? Like, measuring the garden.
I don't. Yeah, mostly I'm just trying to weasel in some math facts about square roots and stuff. So that's kind of
Yeah,
annoying, I guess.
that's funny. Just because it might be a little over their head, just like the history was for me.
Yeah.
That's cute. All right, so you've got also an 11th grade history teacher that was influential to you as well.
Yeah, and again, it's back with the history, which is again not something that's ever. I took a Western Civ class in college and haven't thought about history or social studies since then. Um,
Crazy.
but my 11th grade history teacher, it was AP US history, and it was a small class. It was maybe my first time I took an AP class. I'm having a hard time remember. It was the 90s. It was a long time ago. This was Augusta, Georgia, West Side High School,
Okay.
and Mr. Moore was my AP US history teacher, and I just really loved the energy he brought to that room. Again, it was an energy thing.
Mm,
He was kind and thoughtful, and he brought a good energy to the room. And that was probably the peak of me. I had a couple peaks of being maybe an annoying student. Let's just put it that way. I was not always well behaved. And middle school was one of those times that I probably annoyed my teachers. And 11th grade was another time for some reason I got in some trouble. And he was just really kind and patient with me at a time that I was maybe not the easiest person to be around. So
interesting.
I have always appreciated thinking about him and the energy he put into not just teaching, but kind of making me feel like no, this is a place for you to be. This classroom, this school is a place that you can be in to not just survive but thrive.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
I don't know, he did that for me, and I really appreciated that. I always have
I
thought
like
about
that.
that.
Not survive, not just to survive, but to thrive.
Yeah, and
I'm
that's
gonna
like
write that down.
that's like the job of a teacher, right? Is like they
To
come in
find
here.
that,
Hey,
yeah.
I mean, because I get it. It's like tough to come to this building every day and they sit in the room and it's full of other students and maybe they don't want to sit next to this person, they don't want to see that person, they don't want to learn math.
Mm-hmm.
They wish they're in their beds. I get all that. And so we but there's like two levels, right? There's like the survive level where we just like get through, but then there's also like, well, let's try to move past that, right? Into some kind of like joy is a big word, but if we can bring a little bit of
A little
joy
bit
in,
of
that'd be
fun.
great.
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
tiny
And
bit of fun.
that's kind of a common theme I'm finding with every interview I have is the teachers who are influential have this just kind of exuded joy or
Mm,
energy, and they accept their students, even if their students aren't the best students, because a lot of
right.
teachers, I think, are leaders, and it's really hard to be just, the person in the background if you think you may want to be a teacher one day. And even if you
Yeah.
don't, it's still in you, to want to get some of the attention from some of the other kids. I was a little bit of a class clown in high school towards the end. My best friend Cindy and I got a little silly, but I had some really good teachers that also, like you, just put up with it, and they were just like, oh boy, here they are.
Yeah, that's that's a good word. I went through a couple of periods of being a class clown. Let's say that. Not a terrible I was a good student. I
Mhm.
mean, grades wise, but I my friends found me charming and my teachers sometimes found me annoying. So I but that's been a good training ground for me. I have more patience, I think, for students than I might have if I had never been a class clown myself. So I get
Exactly.
I get it.
I know. And that's what I find about the best thing about being a teacher is that you can see yourself in some of your students, and those
Yeah.
are the ones you find a little bit more compassion for because you're like, oh yeah, I was you when you
Right.
were younger.
Yeah, there's
So
definitely students that will get on another teacher's nerve, and in here I'm like, it's not like they're acting any better for me. I just have maybe a little more patience for them.
sure, absolutely. Well, that's awesome. Well, so we've got Miss Mills, Mr. Sherman, and Mr. Moore so
Yes.
far. And then we've got a science teacher also, I heard.
Yeah. So so Miss Riddle, also at Westside High School in the 90s, was my physics teacher. She taught me physics my junior and senior year. And we all basically only took physics 2 a senior year because we liked Miss Riddle so much. There was really no like we had no I don't think anybody in that whole room became an engineer. No, one kid. He went to tech and became an engineer. But everybody else, we were all humanities math people. Like we were not going to be scientists, but we all took physics too because Miss Riddle had made physics 1 so much fun. And
Gotcha.
and she just ran a really like good classroom senior year to and senior teachers that teach seniors. I only did it once, and God bless these people that teach seniors because they're done by November, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
take the final SAT, they get their grades December 7th for first semester, and they're just like checked out. And
Mhm.
I decided did not want to do that professionally. But Miss Riddle was one of those people that she just like, it was a whole class full of seniors, and we were probably all checked out and still coming to class, obviously, because we had to. And she just was like, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to learn physics here, we're going to learn physics there. And I did go on to college and take physics because I had to, and I felt really successful in that. But more to the point of Miss Riddle was just thinking about like what she did with a bunch of like creating that atmosphere where kids would want to take a class just because she was offering it, right? I mean, that she
Yeah.
like taught us physics 1 and like created this place where she was like, you guys should take physics 2. And we were like, but we don't want to be scientists. And she goes, we'll do it anyway. And we said, okay. And so we all did, and we loved it. And I'll never forget. We think about this every once in a while on the Ides of March on March
Hmm.
15th. We I don't know why we decided to do this, but we staged a takeover of her classroom. And I know why we did. We said we had a student teacher at the time, and the student teacher was leaving, so we staged a takeover to throw the student teacher a party. But in
That
retrospect,
sounds
it
like
was
fun.
maybe really obnoxious, but Miss Riddle took it with such like calm and grace that we just like took over her room to celebrate the student teacher. And
Oh my gosh.
I've always remembered that, like, like that you got to roll with
It was
teenagers
one day,
sometimes, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So sometimes you got to come in this room and you just got to let them, like, they're going to take us in a different direction, and we got to do that sometimes. And it made us respect her more that she could roll with us. So I'm
She kind of had
really,
to go with the flow personality, and
yeah,
you kind of have to be though when you're a senior because senior teacher because you're adults now, so the way she
yeah.
treated you was going to be different than she would treat a ninth grader.
Yeah, most of that room's,
And
yeah, especially by March, everybody's 18,
hmm
right? I mean, like, so it is a bunch of, well, but they're grown. You're grown, even if you don't know as much as you think, maybe.
well,
We all thought we knew everything.
you've had at least 12 years of school
Yeah,
to, learn some of the life skills and skills that you at least need to go out and get a job.
yeah,
So that's our hope anyway, when they leave us. My job last year was an ESE support facilitator for the seniors at
right.
a high school locally. And so my whole caseload was seniors, but about a dozen of them graduated early. So then my caseload was a little bit smaller. So I really got to know some of them and their hopes and dreams. And it was really exciting, like listening to what they wanted to do when they left high school.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
such
hope
a
that they will stay in touch with me. And I've given many of them my Instagram accounts, but not until after they
right, right.
graduated.
Yeah.
And then I said, now you can follow me.
I was gonna
And
say, I have lots of students follow me all the time. They're like, why didn't you follow me back? I'm like, I am not following you back. We don't do that.
right, yeah, it's it's got its pros and cons for sure. But
Yeah,
the I let the seniors by the time they're done. Okay, now you can add me. The last day. So I gave them
yeah,
all my Instagram follow. But the Wendy A Teach one, not this one. A few of them have the Thank a Teacher because I was going to have them on,
cool.
and they might still come on.
Well,
But I only got 1 year with them.
Tania was a student of yours, yes?
She was, yeah. That was in Michigan. So
Okay,
I have just spent 1 year here in Florida, and I'm going to be moving into a K through 8 school this next year.
right.
So I won't be working with the high schoolers anymore, but just because I really like to teach literacy to the little ones, and I've been tutoring them. But anyway, this is not about me, it's about you. So I want to move on past me. But Tania was a student of mine in Detroit area, a town called Livonia, city of Livonia.
Mm,
And it's about 20 minutes out of Detroit and about 20 minutes to Ann Arbor. So kind of like in the middle
oh,
of
in
them
between.
both.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So,
I don't think I
but
knew Detroit and Ann Arbor were that close together, but
yeah,
that's real
yeah,
close.
yeah.
Okay.
And and then we're very close to Windsor, Canada. They, Detroit and
Yes.
Canada are bordered. So there's a lot to do, like within a few hours of that area. But
But it's so cold. I don't know.
oh,
I
it's so
just, yeah,
cold. I
yeah.
agree. I lived there for 25 years and
It's too much. Yeah.
it's a lot. Yeah, I'm trying to get my son to move here. Matthew, if you're listening. So I wanted to ask you, you mentioned a lot of their character traits, but did they have any like types of engagement activities that would or strategies that kept you engaged while you were learning and or was it mostly their personalities and how they made you feel that you remember?
I mean, now that you pointed out, I definitely talked about all their personalities. I think that's for me what always drew me to a teacher or not was something vibrant about them. And I want to be clear, these like I don't think it's about being cool or fun. Nobody would describe some of these teachers as being fun or and it wasn't like they were wearing all the cool clothes and like talking all the cool language. Like, but there was something like just I'll go back to that word joy. There's a little bit of joy to all of these teachers, I think, in that they like
Mm,
kind of wanted to be there.
I
Um,
like that. Yeah.
and when they and that brought out like I responded to that, I think, as a teenager.
Okay. So you could
Um,
tell that they liked their job
yeah, and
and they made a point to like everybody in the classroom too.
they were trying and the way they liked their job came out in like in their teaching, not just you've probably known some teachers in your life that seem to like their job, but they mostly just like hanging out and like talking to kids and
Yeah.
uh I don't know.
Whereas they were maybe passionate about their subjects.
Yeah, they were passionate, yeah, about their subjects and about like just like your dad, like having the conversation at the
Hmm.
dinner table, so to speak. Like that's how all these teachers, like in my memory, feel like they feel like people that were like real excited about what they were doing, really happy to be in the building, and just like wanted to share that with the 13-year-old me or 17-year-old me.
Yeah.
And I respond to that.
Very cool.
I
It's
think in my
it's really interesting that like different individuals will respond to that, whereas some
yeah,
might think it's kind of like boring or
sure.
geeky,
Yeah,
to
yes.
be excited about what you're learning. So,
Yeah.
but you grabbed onto it and you're like, hey, I
And
might
I
be able
think
to exude
I
my
th
energy in that way someday.
I think just as a theme, I think that's kind of how I am as a teacher. I maybe on my best days is at this point I'm 50. I'm not going to impress anybody with like being all that like culturally relevant or I don't know what's going on half the time with
Sure.
Netflix or TikTok or anything.
I
But
agree.
I like math and I do like talking to the teenagers even if I don't know what they're saying half the time.
Yes.
And I like being here. So I kind of like that's kind of my style. I don't know.
Yeah,
And
that's very cool. I'm sure they can pick it up on that from you.
I hope so.
Like you said, that energy. Well, just try to bring it every day. Just tell yourself every day, I chose this profession because I may have a little Jay Wamstead in my class one day that may end up being a teacher or even a professor someday. You never
Even the
know.
most class clown of kid could grow up to be something one day, right?
Exactly. You know that. And like I said, me too. It was funny because I always hung out with extroverts
Oh,
because I'm an introvert. And so I wouldn't even do this podcast normally without someone else. So that's why Tania was like pulling me
okay.
out of my shell.
So you always had like a
But my
wingman next to
best
you, right?
friend,
Okay.
yeah, was like my person. And we had a lot of classes together. But she's the person who brought me out in certain classes, to be that class clown, I would say. She's
That's
still my best friend today, which
oh,
is
that's so
funny.
cute. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I just spent some time with her and her family over the summer. So
Is she still clown?
she's still very funny and she's very silly and she married a very funny man too. So the two of them crack me up. And of
Oh, that's
course
amazing.
her children and her whole family, they're so funny.
That's great.
So we have a good time together still. Yes. I enjoy them. I try to keep people like that in my life.
Yeah.
the
Well,
people that bring you joy.
I was gonna say it's the same thing as like the classroom. It's like you need positivity, you need like good energy, and you need like just some joy, you know? I mean, and
Yeah,
like every day I walk in this room like is not as joyful as the next, right? Some days
for
are
sure.
cloudy, some days I'm tired, some days one of my kids is driving me crazy. I'm at home. And but on the whole, if you smooth out, the same thing with your friend, like maybe not every day is like amazing, but like if on the whole you smooth it out, it's like, yeah, this is a joyful, positive person. And that's what we need, or that's what I need from my teachers. And that's what I try to give to my
Yeah,
students. And
I
but I
love
think
that.
there's other ways to be a teacher too. There's because you asked about do I remember like activities or strategies, and I that's not what I remember from high school or middle school as a student, but I'm sure you must talk to people that do remember things like that, right? That they remember like,
Not really. Most of them are saying kind of the same
hmm,
thing. They don't remember what they were taught. They just remember the energy in the classroom, feeling cared about, feeling like their teacher didn't give up on them and if they accepted them or helped bring them out of their shell a little bit. So it's really interesting. And what I'm finding here is that, it empowers me to know that some of the things that I've used, I'm like, wow, that must be, have made some difference. But there are also things I'm learning from some of these other individuals that are coming here and talking
yeah,
about great teachers. So yeah, it's very cool. But for the most part, people remember how you make them feel and how you're accepted in the classroom, not necessarily the curriculum.
yeah. So I think that's what you just said. It like it's not like how you feel, right? It's like 5 years out from school or 10 years out from school, it's like you're not going to remember necessarily like what you're not going to remember all these little things you learned or
3x
whatever.
plus 6 minus 8
Lord,
B equals 21C.
squared.
Yeah,
But
there you go.
you are gonna remember how school made you feel, right? You're gonna remember
Yeah,
like was it a place you dreaded? Was it a place you felt accepted? Was it a place you felt safe? Was it a place you enjoyed being at, or a mix of all those things on a given year? And that is that's like such a like good charge for us at the start of the year, right?
hmm,
It's like,
yeah,
yes, the curriculum matters. Yes, the worksheets matter and the assignments matter and the grades matter, all that matters, but like how everybody feels in the room matters a lot.
for
And
sure.
might be the only thing they take with them.
I know. And I feel bad for, some people that don't get it and they think, teaching is about like getting kids to just sit down and be quiet and
Yeah.
sometimes it's not, sometimes it's about knowing your class before you can even teach them anything and just
Yeah.
getting to know them a little bit because they're not ready to learn. So
Yeah.
you got to
No.
work on that a little bit. But hope like it's interesting. The Grace Stearns, who was on here, who had come from China and
Mhm.
Mongolia, she said, when she was teaching over there, those kids were ready to learn, and she was just like. She had many more students in her class because you could handle it. You didn't have to deal with all the behavior.
Right.
And those kids were just little sponges, whereas we're completely different culture. So
Yeah.
our kids are much more, I think, vivacious and have a lot of creativity. Not that they don't in China, but I think they're kind of taught to exude their behavior a little bit more than hold it in, you
I
know?
think I think too. I mean I think it starts young and it starts with parents who felt this way when they were students. But like we're more as a culture we're more suspicious of school. And by that I mean I think from what I understand about some place like China is that like the expectation is just that you're going to go to school and that's going to be good for you and everything's going to work out. And I think we've got multiple generations here where school didn't necessarily work out for them, and now they're
Hmm.
raising their own kids, and
They're
that's
doubting.
yeah, that suspicion and maybe failure. Like maybe we and not you and me, but somebody that was failed 20, 30, 40 years ago raising a child now is like bringing in their own suspicions, and that child's coming in suspicious. I don't know. I
You're right.
I'm
As
inventing this
I,
theory as I go,
yeah,
but
no, you're right. I have a little girl that I tutor, and one of I tutor several little kids, but one of the parents mentioned to me that she had dyslexia when she was growing up, and
mhm,
I think she was fearful that her own daughter would get it because she said, I never really learned to read. And she doesn't really have a very strong, you know, I guess, hope, or what's the word I'm looking for? Belief in teachers,
Yeah.
that her daughter might get overlooked. And so she got her private tutoring, which I'm blessed to do because I absolutely love her daughter and she's doing amazing. So, but it is really interesting that other people have different perspectives of school. Whereas, I was one of those kids that, I loved all my teachers and I was teacher's pet and, I begged to go be the person to go get the teacher's coffee or, go get
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
projector, whatever it may be, just to get out of class, really. So it is weird for me to hear when other people don't have good experiences in school because I've always tried to care about the students I teach. And I mean, there have been some that I don't think I, you know, achieve success with every single one of them. I'm sure some of them slip through the cracks, but
Oh, for sure.
you
Yeah.
try. They're just not ready sometimes. And someone else can try with you
I was gonna
because
say, and
I'm not succeeding here.
sometimes we're just the wrong person for that child at that phase. Like, there's nothing,
Mhm.
and that's not. I don't think that's their fault or our fault. It's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. And it's unfortunate, but there are some different lessons you may have to learn before you can learn the subject material. So
right.
I think that's what it comes down to in the end. What life lessons did you learn from any of your teachers that you carry with you today, maybe as a father or even as a teacher?
Mm. I mean, I definitely learned that that sometimes you got to work, and sometimes the work isn't fun, right? I mean, like the subjects I mentioned. I mean, I was always pretty good at math, but algebra is like tough. I teach it now, so I know that it can be tough for lots and lots of people. Second year physics was not easy, and as
Yeah,
somebody who didn't
that.
particularly care about history, AP US history was not easy for me either. But those were things like they were classes I'd chosen to be, or they were important for me to get done for college or whatever, and I had to like do the work, and
Yeah,
even when it wasn't inherently easy. And that is something I think that I learned from those teachers and those classes that I like carry through to my life now. That
effort equals success.
I mean, yeah, I mean, not I don't want to like I wouldn't want to say to any look at somebody and just be like, I just gotta try harder. I just know that if I take my foot off the gas in my own life, like I'll get less results. So
Hmm.
like that there's definitely like in most, let's say this, in most cases of success, there's probably some effort back there that wasn't always fun. You think
For
about
sure.
these, like the sports stars we watch, like, for every amazing game they're having, they're practicing 10,000 hours in a sweaty gym, like while their friends are off doing something else. I mean, like that's what it takes to
Hmm.
like to be really, really excellent at something, right? It takes a tremendous amount of work, and that work isn't always fun.
Absolutely. That's very
Um,
true. Well, I think like what I try to do is teach that growth mindset where if you can't figure it out this way, try another way. Try
yeah.
another way because somebody figured it out. So if someone else did it, you can too. And you just not maybe finding the right tools or the right avenue. So I had to learn how to edit videos and air things on YouTube and Spotify. This was all new to me. I'm not very techie. My son is the techie one. I've always asked him to help me with everything. So
You're on a whole new journey. Like this is amazing.
completely. Yeah. And at 54, it's like, what
Right.
did I get myself into? With just a few more years left of teaching, that's for
I
sure.
know. Yeah, it's like you needed a hobby in your last years of teaching. Goodness.
Yeah. Well, like you, I wrote a book, but I do want to talk a little bit about yours
Hmm.
because Jay is also an author. And so part of this podcast journey will end with me dropping a book about my experiences as a teacher, though. So it's not, it'll be, more of a memoir. So, all
Oh,
right, tell us about the lockdown artist. And I have a quick question. Did you
yeah.
put in, I noticed that you dedicated it to your students. Did you include a lot of the names of previous students in here by any chance?
So there's nobody's name. So the for those who don't know, the book is it's set in a school. It's set in a dystopian future where schools
Mm-hmm.
and prisons have merged. So it's a novel about control, and there's an AI involved. So it's about technology overrun and government overrun, and it's about these teenagers that are trying to survive in that system. And I have just watched over my career just so many wonderful teenagers, as have you and your listeners. But the system isn't always set up for them. The system isn't always
Yeah.
helpful for them, or they can be successful. And this is so hard, as they can be successful in my room and go across the hall and just have such a hard time with that teacher
Yeah.
or the other teacher. Or they can be successful in school, but they go outside the building and get caught up in something that like just derails all their schoolwork. And so while a lot of like writing teenagers in that book was a joy because I think teenagers are amazing. I live with some at home and I work with them here,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved writing them. And they're certainly like based on the thousands of teenagers I've known in my life, but I did not use anybody's name because
I wondered. Okay.
um,
I was like, how do you pick the names? Were they ex-students?
the only name my main character I actually his name is Ben, and my son's name is
Ben.
Benjamin,
Oh,
but
I love that.
we don't call him Benjamin, we call him Bo. So it was actually I was several weeks into writing the book when I realized I'd named the character Ben, even though my son's name was Ben. I'd literally forgot, if that makes
Too
sense.
funny because you call him Bo.
Because we've
Mm-hmm.
never called him Ben or Benjamin. We've always called him Bo. Anyway, but
That's pretty
it was
cool.
like far enough along that I was like, I'm just gonna leave him as Ben. So my other kids think I named him after, they think I named this character in my book after my son, like he's my favorite. I'm like, he's not my favorite. I just forgot. And then he's like, you forgot my name. It's a whole thing in my
That
house.
is too
Um,
funny. Well, you have Jazz and Kiki, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I like the names for sure. But some of them are so unique. That's why I thought. But I am enjoying it. I'm only on
oh,
page
I did
21.
in reference to thank a teacher. I can do this. The
Okay.
there's one good teacher in my book. There's one good teacher and one bad teacher where I just kind of dump a lot of thoughts about teaching. But my good
Mm-hmm.
teacher in my book is literally named after somebody that I worked with for
Cool.
many years at my first high school. So Mason is named after a man I worked with named Mason,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
he does know that I did that. But I just put it in there as a proxy name to start with because I just needed a name and it sounded good. And I've always believed that like 2 syllable names like are a little easier to write. 3 syllables is a little too
Mm-hmm.
much. 1 syllable can
Mm-hmm.
work, but two is like the perfect, I think. And I dropped Mason in there. I thought, oh, I always liked him, and I always meant to change it. And then I just by the time I got finished with the book, I was like, I'm not going to change it. So, but he is named after somebody that I thought was a really great teacher. So
I love that. See, so that's colleagues as well as your own teachers
yeah,
because you
yeah.
continue to work with people like that. So it's
I can
inspiring.
I'm inspired by people in my building all the time. I mean, adults.
Mm-hmm.
I've continued to be amazed by teachers. I love it when I meet a 25-year-old teacher that's got all these great ideas, and I love it when I get to be friends with a somebody who's 60 and almost retired, and they have all these
Mm-hmm.
great ideas. I'm blown away by people that do this job and how much they
I
have to teach
agree.
me.
I truly think that that's partly why I'm doing this is because as an ESC special education teacher, I've worked in classrooms a lot, and I'm
Yeah.
always like, wow, this is an amazing teacher. And so many, I could have named probably 30 people, in my first podcast that I would like to thank for inspiring me to either teach or continue to teach
Yeah.
because, it's not easy to stay in it for so long. You get burnt out, and I just switch grade levels every once in a while. So I think that's what's been helping me is to be able to do 32 years. So,
Now that we're on the subject of like colleagues, I'll thank my my first mentor teacher was Miss Collins, and I
okay.
student taught for her back in 2006, and then the school hired me, and I got to work with her for 7 or 8 years. I can't remember something about them. So we worked together after I student taught for her. We were on the same math team for
Nice.
let's say 8 years, and I just owe the world to her. Like she brought me in her room and like showed me how to be a teacher, and then handed me the reins and was there when I needed help. And then
You're like, it's not so hard now.
the next year when I got hired, she was there for me too when I needed help or had a question or needed anything. So
Amazing.
um,
And you got hired in the school where you did your mentor teaching.
yes, yeah, that's that was a that was a good deal for me. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I bet. That's great. What else would you like to talk about with the book? How did you become an author when you're a math teacher?
That's a good question. Well, to go back to Mr.
Because it's the
Sherman,
left brain, right brain
yeah,
type of worldly knowledge that I know.
to go back to Mr. Sherman, who let me write that short story all those years ago and was affirming of it. I was just real kind about it. I'm sure it was fine. I'm sure it wasn't anything brilliant, but he was real kind to me and gave me great feedback. I've just kind of written ever since then. You know,
You enjoy
I
writing.
I do. I've written bad poetry. I've written bad songs. I took a short story class in college that I like did my best at. But it wasn't until I started teaching that I kind of found my groove as a writer. I started writing like nonfiction, just short little essays
Mhm.
about incident at school or a day or a week or a
A
theme,
topic of some
a
sort.
topic, right? And that just really like gave my brain a focus place to land. It just helped me like churn through my thoughts as I was like back and forth to the building. And so I've continued to do that for years and years and years, ever since '06 when I started teaching. And it was just a couple years ago that I was walking around my house and I had this image pop into my head that later ended up in the Lockdown Artist, but it was like a clearly a fictional image about this school that was under lockdown, but under armed guard lockdown. And I just had this image, and I thought, huh, that's weird. And then a couple weeks later, I decided I was going to try to write about it, but it was fiction, and I'd never really written much fiction, not successfully anyway. And I don't know, I kind of liked it, and then I just kept writing, and
Well, I'm
later,
definitely enjoying it. It's keeping my attention,
that's good, that's
and
good.
I'm
I mean,
like, wow, he's really good. I wonder how many books he's read. So, no, I definitely am enjoying it. I am going to finish it and I will give you a review on Amazon too when I'm all done.
I can't wait. And we got book 2 coming out in November, so that's real exciting.
Awesome. Very cool. Wow, that's pretty quick.
Well, I had both of yes. It's
A long time to do my second book
I,
because I'm doing a podcast, other things.
I was gonna say I'd actually written I wrote book 1 and book 2 not at the same time, but like kind of back to back before I ever like before anyone even saw it at all. So I'd already like written.
Okay.
It was
You have
like
all your ideas and
yeah. It was
everything,
all it
and
was all churning up here.
that's amazing. Congratulations on that because
Thank you.
everybody says they want to write a book and then only a few of us do. So, you know, I'm
It
sure that you're inspiring others by doing that as well.
I hope so. It's inspiring to me to the reason I dedicated it to my students because like it, this is a great job because you get to like there's a hard thing about this job is that I keep getting older and I feel older, every year when I meet the new crop of young people. Um,
Sure.
but also I keep getting older and I keep getting to be amazed by what 13-year-olds can do and what they're like. And I'll meet a new crop of 13-year-olds next week and they'll turn 14 and
Hmm.
the boys will get taller than me again, which happens every year. And they'll inspire me. And
Yeah.
that's where the Lockdown Artist started was I was like, there's a system and the system can be really crappy and teenagers can be really amazing. And let's put these amazing teenagers in this crappy system and just like,
You got the
let's write a book.
peaks and what is it? The peaks
The,
and the
the guests.
guests. That's what it
Yeah.
was. Yes. See, I'm getting there. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to finish reading it and read the next one. So I
Awesome.
do enjoy reading, especially from people that I know. I think it's important that we support each other and those types of things because it's funny when my book came out, all my friends bought it and they're the ones that, did the reviews and everybody's like, so do you ever saw your book? I'm like, yeah, to all my friends. That's
Well,
pretty much the only people that knew about.
I can't wait for your second book though. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited about that. I'm not even going to talk about what it's going to be titled or anything, but
Okay.
yeah,
All wraps.
I'm just trying to, don't want anybody to steal my idea.
Oh yeah.
So when it's ready, it'll be ready, but I have the skeleton of it written, so
Mhm.
I know what stories I now just have to write.
Yeah.
And then one of my major tasks was to go through, I have these big trunks filled with pictures, old pictures.
Oh wow.
And I have a lot of pictures from like my first year teaching back in
Hmm.
1994. and then other years over time. And it's like, wow, I look so different. And then, like I'm sure I teach different, but I think I still carry that same kind of personality, with the kids and try to show them that they're safe around me and, try to show them my awkward side too, so that they
Yeah.
can realize that they can just be normal and
Yes, I think that's so important is to like be nerdy about things we're nerdy about, be awkward, like
mhm.
make mistakes and but being awkward isn't even a mistake. Sometimes it's just like, no, I'm kind of a dork. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Like I mean
yeah,
like
and I did make a mistake, and I'm fully fine with honoring that.
yeah,
So, and admitting everything that I do wrong because that makes them realize, oh, okay, she's not perfect either, and
right.
I can make mistakes in front of her. So,
Now, I just did the math, 1994, that means you must have started teaching like right out of college.
yeah. So I
I mean,
got I got hired. I signed a contract before I even graduated.
wow. Okay.
Mhm. I went to University of Florida and I worked for Palm Beach County Schools. They recruited gators up there
Mhm.
and said, "You have a job. You have to interview." Well, what did I do? Hung out all summer and pools and beaches and was like, "Oh yeah, somebody will call me for an interview." 2 weeks before school starts, I got a call from the county office. "Have you landed your school yet?" And I was like, "No, somebody hasn't called me." And he's like, "Well, you're supposed to be reaching out to who's hiring." And I was like, "Oh." This was like right when laptops,
Yeah,
were
yeah.
just beginning. So I don't even know if I would have known how to find out who was hiring other than
Right.
calling or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But I applied at an elementary school and then at a middle school. So my first job was middle school, Boca Raton Middle School, and they hired me on the spot, showed me my classroom. I was like, okay, I'm working here
Oh,
now.
we're doing this? Okay, okay.
This is where I'll be working next week. Okay. So that was fun. I stayed there for 5 years until I ended up moving to Michigan.
Okay.
But it was a challenge. Middle school
Uh,
was not easy back then. I had kids fighting pretty much every
yeah.
day.
I mean, to be so young too, I just, it's not, yeah. I didn't,
Yeah, part of my story is what some of the boys would do, like sit in the back of the class with this big sign, "I love you, Mizelle. You're the reason I come to school." He'd show up once a week, but thanks, Emilio, if you're out there listening. Thanks for coming to
that's so
school once a
funny.
week back in the 90s. I do
I,
have
I do
some
hope he
students
hears
I'm still
this.
in touch with that went to that school.
Oh, wow, wow.
So yeah, about three or four of my students, one of them is he's a pastor himself now, and one of them is a
Wow.
businessman and still says that I was his angel back then. So
Oh, that's amazing.
it's kind of cute. Yeah. So Vincent, he's supposed to be coming on here as a guest one day,
Oh,
maybe to
great.
talk about what I was like when I was in my 20s.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good episode.
Right? Exactly. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I wanted to ask you a couple more questions. If you could say one thing to those teachers now, what would it be?
I mean, just it's in the title. I would just say thank you, and I would just say like a little bit of I'm sorry that I was a handful, but also like I I know they got into the game because they wanted to help kids that were kind of a handful, and look what you did because here
Look
I
what
am.
you
I've
did.
been
There you
teaching 20 years
are.
now, so
I hope you can somehow forward this to maybe the school district or the school where you used to work, and maybe
yeah,
somehow they can look up these teachers, and
yeah.
that would be
I
interesting.
I've heard a little bit from Miss Riddle over the years, so I think I know how to get in touch with her, I think. So it's gonna
Okay,
be a little bit
cool.
of detective work.
Right? Yeah, that's kind of why I started it. My first grade teacher, I don't even know how to find her, Mrs. Baker. She's probably, who knows if she's even alive,
Right.
like she would be in her 70s, I would say at this point. But
My
so
mom,
last, go
my
ahead.
mother called me the other day and told me my second grade teacher just passed away at like 94 or something.
Oh,
So I was like, wow.
oh,
Apparently she taught till she was 70 something. Like she was,
yeah.
it's amazing. So
Yeah, it's one of those jobs that I don't want to get out of it. I want to continue teaching, and that's why
yeah,
I tutor. And even when I do look at other jobs, I'm like, no, it's not going to be as fulfilling as what I
right,
do. So,
right.
so we already know what your job is, but is there anything else that you would like to share about your experience as a teacher with the audience before we leave?
Yeah, just every once in a while, somebody asks like, what's like one thing you would say to younger teacher or whatever, I don't know. And I used to not know how to answer that. But I think what I would say is kind of a variation on what we were just saying about kind of being yourself, being unafraid to make mistakes, and being unafraid to be, again, kind of a
Human.
dork. I don't know, human. Yes, human.
Yeah.
Being unafraid to be human. Yes. And
Authentic,
I
right?
yeah, and like I went through a long period where I would pretend that I knew anything about, let's say, the NBA, which I don't, but I would like fake it with my students and talk about the
That's
NBA.
funny.
And that's fine. Maybe I needed to do
Oh
that when I was
yeah.
30. But like now I'm just like, if they're talking about the NBA, I'm just like, I know nothing about the NBA. But you can tell me about it if you want. I'd like to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I don't have to pretend to know. You can just tell me. I'm comfortable not knowing, right?
Yeah, you
Um,
accepted who you are too and what you
yes.
know and what you like. So,
I do not know the name of the band you're saying, but tell me about it. That'll be great.
yeah.
And so that's what I would say to younger teachers is like, bring who you are to the table, and then like be excited about taking in stuff from the kids about who they are.
So maybe I could title this podcast Be Human, Stay Curious.
Oh, what a good title. That's so
You
good.
like
Yes.
that? Okay. Because that's kind of what I think your teachers did for you too.
Yeah, be human, stay curious. I love that.
I'm going to
Um,
title that. I
we're gonna
like
have
it.
to we're gonna have to debate later who gets to use that as a title of a book or an essay or something. I
You
don't
can
know. That's a
take
good.
it
Okay, all right.
because it's your episode 9, which is a good number.
Okay, all right. Be human, stay curious. My
Yeah.
brain's already writing a little essay about it. That sounds great.
I love that. That's amazing. Well, it's fun to know you and to get to know a fellow author. It's not my passion as a writer because I don't like to sit still too long.
Yeah,
So I think that I just have a lot of funny and creative ideas about, things. And so I just like to put them on paper, not to say that I'm a good writer or anything. I just enjoy it.
yeah.
And I've always written poetry or small writing pieces too, short stories. And when I was actually a teacher for elementary students, I worked in classrooms with some teachers that were like masterful writing teachers. And
Yeah.
I learned so much from them when I was co-teaching their students that it truly empowered me that I was like, I can write a book. I
Yeah,
knew it.
yeah.
Like at that point, I can write a book.
That's so
So,
cool. That's
yeah,
another you're thanking a teacher. You're thanking your colleagues.
that's right.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes, Lauren Schnell and Roseanne Stark were two other teachers that I sat in their rooms and they just made me sit back and go, oh, I can write too.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, so it was really cool. Well, thank you so much for being with me today.
Wendy,
And
thank you so much. This was so much fun.
I certainly will put your podcast out on Friday and certainly hope we can share it with all the teachers that have made an impact on you. And thank you for all the years that you've put forth for your students, your own children. I see you guys are well read, which is awesome. So keep reading, keep writing, and keep being an amazing teacher. So
Well,
thank you.
well, thanks so much.
And have a great school year. I'm sure we'll be in
Yes,
touch at some point,
yes,
but
you too. Have a
till
like
now,
best of luck to both of us, right?
yes, for sure. Well, I'm sure I will see you around on social media. And thanks so much again for being here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Have a great school year. Class dismissed. Bye bye.